Super Mario Brothers. So this is an alumni of the Bottom 100. I think most people are familiar with this. This was a very big budget, huge failure in, I think, 1993, 1994, thereabouts, maybe. Um, whew. It's it's actually, I think, entertaining bad. Some people would disagree with me on that and say it's just horribly boring, but my threshold is much lower for that, as you might be able to tell because I'm marathoning the Bottom 100 IMDb. Uh, so there's a lot going on here. As I record this, Bob Hoskins apparently just died today. Played Mario in this, and actually, I don't think he's that bad, all considering, in this. I think that what people mostly remember from this movie are the performances by John Leguizamo and Dennis Hopper. John Leguizamo is just, you can't. This is maybe his worst performance, and that's saying a lot. He's just aggravating. He plays Luigi, and every line he delivers is just horrible. Dennis Hopper is the bad guy. He's Bowser, more or less, King Koopa, and he's just playing over-the-top villain the whole time, which, I mean, whatever. It's entertaining enough. He has a couple really weird lines, but overall, he's all right. I like him as the villain more than most people do, I think, in this. He's very hammy and comic booky, but then again, this is, clearly not taken seriously behind the scenes. I mean, apparently this was so miserable to make that, there's all sorts of stories that, Bob Hoskins has said that this is the worst thing he was ever in. But yeah, there's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that this was just a train wreck from the start. So there's a lot to talk about in this. The plot, it's Super Mario Brothers. It's not like the games though. There is, the Mario Brothers, Mario and Luigi, who are plumbers in Brooklyn. There is an archaeological dig, that apparently they're looking for dinosaurs, and there's a portal to a parallel world that was formed when the meteor crashed into the Earth that's populated by dinosaurs, and whatever. There's Daisy instead of Princess Peach, who is this archaeologist who is apparently a dinosaur. That's sort of what they tell us later. And Bowser, King Koopa, wants to take over the human world, and big conspiracy things, whatever. Anyways, Luigi likes Daisy, and there's a sort of romance thing there. They wind up going into this other dimension, shenanigans happen, evil things, and they spend most of the movie over in the dinosaur world, which is, the set design sadly reminds me a lot of sort of a cross between Brazil and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's very grimy looking and very dark set, which doesn't fit for like one of the brightest colored video games. Like, that's what it was known for. There weren't any dark levels that I could think of, apart unless you were in a cave in Super Mario. So it doesn't make a lot of sense there. But, I mean, the set design doesn't fit with, I guess it sort of does fit with the way they did this movie as sort of a darker, grittier Mario than anyone ever wanted. So it sort of fits the tone in that way, but it was a weird choice. There were weird directorial decisions in this, and that was one of them, was the set design. The practical effects actually, I think, look alright. Like, they've got the dinosaur heads on the Goombas, which instead of being angry, toothed mushrooms, I guess, is what they are in the game. They're dinosaur people. They're big, broad people with tiny little dinosaur heads. Whatever. I actually think they look pretty good, especially for the time this is. I mean, I think this was like around the time of Jurassic Park. So, if you compare it like that and don't compare it against later things, dinosaurs don't look that bad. Even Yoshi, who in this is just a tiny little dinosaur, looks, not horrible, I think. So I think that's probably where a lot of the money went for this movie. But I actually think that's not horrid in this. It could be much worse anyway. I mean, you compare it to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and their turtle costumes look way more distractingly bad. Other than that, they also try to make humanoid dinosaurs, which is the idea is that these dinosaurs have evolved into something very human-like. Dennis Hopper has these weird ridges on his head, but overall, I mean, they were trying to be creative with it. It does come off kind of goofy, but, points for creativity, I suppose. So the plot obviously is complete bunk. It's that there's a tiny bit of the meteor missing, and if it's replaced, then the universes will recollide and they will merge, which is just totally bonkers. There's also a de-evolution gun, which can turn people into monkeys. That's not how that works. Or turn Bowser, as you say at the end, into a T-Rex thing, I guess. There's a lot of that kind of thing. There's also super jumpy boots. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of flamethrowers for some reason. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that just isn't... It's unclear why they made some of these decisions. I think what most stands out to people is why it's so dark, like, visibly dark. There's not really a good answer for it. Really what this movie mostly comes down to, although the writing is certainly not good, and the dialogue at times is just miserable, it's directorial decisions and creative decisions that are just don't fit with the source material. And as you'll see with a lot of movies that come out, if a movie is based on a source material that has a loyal fandom, they're going to expect something similar to what they're used to. So directors have to be careful about that and not, depart too strongly from their source material if they want to keep that established fan base on their side. You see this a lot with the superhero movies. Whenever they change some little thing, people just go up in arms on the internet. And that apparently is the same thing with movies like this. Like Super Mario Brothers, obviously people were super upset. Like, directors have the advantage that they have an existing fan base that's going to come out to their movie as long as they don't just colossally screw it up. This one was colossally screwed up. I guess Car 54, Where Are You? Is another one that was similar to that sort of offended the fan base with changes, as well as McHale's Navy did the same thing, as far as other movies just specifically on this list. So yeah, I think that's part of why this is so lowly. It's not a good movie by any sense, and it probably deserves... It's got like a 4.0 now on IMDb. No longer in the bottom 100, but still really bad. But it's also... I suppose it's a kid's movie, and from like a little kid's... Like, I was, 4 or something when this came out, and I remember seeing it. And it was just, noises mostly. I only remembered little bits of it. But it's certainly not... There's nothing highbrow in it. One thing I did actually think was kind of funny, at one point there are 2 henchmen of Bowser's that are really dumb to start with, and then he gives them some sort of super smart enhancing machine thing that turns them into smart people, which doesn't actually make them smart, but they use longer words, and I actually thought that was pretty funny. Like, that's clearly something that was thrown in what was essentially a kid's movie for adults, and I don't know, it was mildly entertaining, but that's as close as it came to being really funny. And that's kind of part of it, is that it wasn't really funny at any point. It was mostly just loud noises and things were happening and exploding, and it was just a sequence of things happening as opposed to something entertaining, which that's a problem when you're trying to make a movie that is sort of a family comedy, I guess. But anyway, I actually think that I think there's probably riff tracks of this out there, or actually, I think it's actually pretty good to just sit down with some friends and watch this. I think there's enough that you can sort of make fun of, and it is watchable enough that, and it's kind of got a nostalgia trip factor to it as well. And Dennis Hopper is hammy enough that it's entertaining, so, I don't know, I would recommend this for, a choice movie to watch with friends. It's not as fun to watch alone, but watch it with some folks that might remember this from their childhood and just ruin it for them.
Where are we? I got a feeling we're not in Brooklyn no more.
Luigi! Sandy! You better not hurt us!
They're brothers. They're plumbers.
Oh no! Mario! Luigi!
They're on the trail
Sandy!
of a kidnapped princess and a mystical meteorite
It's incredible!
that gives anyone who possesses it the power to rule the universe.
Get me the rock! Come and get it, lizard breath!
Now, they must rescue the princess.
Luigi!
Alien species escaping.
and make it safely back
Later, alligator.
to our world
Are you alright?
before time runs out.
Save him! Look out, Mario!
Get him!
No, stop!
Gotcha.
No, not again!
Super Mario Brothers. This ain't no game.